Okay. I think let's talk a little bit more. Sorry, let's talk a bit about something else that I've been meaning to talk to you about, which is also something that you are equally passionate about as data governance, which is real world evidence, right? And we have talked about this, me and you. This is something that both of us are super excited about, and also the possibilities. And I remember, few years up until few years back, real world evidence was all about a post-launch, right? Commercialization. Where do I find my right patient? Where is my doctor? All those things. But then you see the use case of real world evidence now moving upstream, where it's more about where is my right site? Where can I enroll patients? My to be clinical trial patient is going to which doctor. So I mean, it's more on the clinical trial side as well, or as explored. Now, the use case of real world evidence in clinical trials was always there, but something happened that in the past few years, now people are sort of warming up to this idea, which has always been one of the most powerful ideas that ever lived, especially in data to decisions ecosystem. So what do you think is sort of encouraging this trend?
I am so excited for this space because I would say that it's the biggest untapped opportunity in clinical development to use real-world evidence, not just for this kind of post-market activity, but really as using real-world data as a true source of clinical intelligence that informs every single phase of that drug development life cycle. I think it's a huge untapped opportunity. I think we're going to see it advance. I'm seeing so many startups really digging into the space and providing incredible opportunities. I would say, many in industry still associate real-world evidence with some of the, monitoring the safety, post-approval, but this is massive underutilization. And the real opportunity for real-world data is to answer questions like some of the examples you shared. It's to answer the questions that determine whether a clinical program succeeds or fails before you even get a patient in the door.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the de-risking you're talking about there. It's going to be huge. So, we can think about, I would say, again, thinking about the jobs to be done, there's so many challenges. We've seen a lot of AI in terms of the research space. We're getting more evolved in how we're using AI for drug discovery components. And a lot of that is because we're mapping out more and more chemistry, interactions, reactions, and so we're able to get that view. So that's sort of the mechanistic model of how these chemicals and compounds might interact. And then you get to the in-human clinical development. And it seems like all sort of evidence kind of goes out the door, right? And there is a huge level of uncertainty that gets introduced because biology is hard. And, it's really, we don't exactly know how things will map out. So one of the biggest tools and opportunities I see in this space is simulation, which we've had, right, statistically and in analytics, we've had simulation for a long, long time. We've used simulations for a variety of things, but it's never had the same opportunity as it does today, right? AI, so in the age before AI, we had our ability to look at the diagnostic and descriptive statistics. So the descriptive being what happened, the diagnostic being why did it happen. All of that is saying once we've collected the data, let's understand it. With AI, the big pivot and the big shift is now getting into that predictive and prescriptive lens. The what will happen and under what scenarios, what next best action should we take? This is huge. We use it on our Amazon shopping carts, right? Or whatever is your best and favorite, online shopping experience. But yet we don't take that same framework yet and as intuitively put it in, where simulations based on certain past or neighboring information can tell us what are the probabilities or likelihood of certain outcomes happening. So simulation, which is then powered by AI, information we would know from knowledge graphs, information we would know from mechanistic drug models, can really come together to help us de-risk so many, exactly as you pointed out, so many steps along the path of a clinical program. Think about like portfolio optimization. And then the trial development. You mentioned protocol design, right? What are the right inclusion-exclusion criteria? That's a great question for real-world data to really provide clinical intelligence, right? You've got more precise site selection, where, traditionally in site selection, there's a reliance on who has historically, right, been a big recruiter, who do we know in the space? And now when you think about AI-powered real-world data generating this real-world evidence, we can identify some sites that have the actual patients that match the target protocol population. Right? It's not a finger in the air. We have about this many. We can recruit about 2 patients per site per month, right? It gets much more precise. And it opens up a huge opportunity to say, hey, we need to find underrepresented patients. We need to find, to meet the diversity requirement. We need to figure out how to identify signals that a site starts to, go south before we have a delay in the recruitment, which could extend the trial timeline by a month. We don't have a month. Patients don't have a month. And so I think the opportunity in this space to really frame real-world data as a existing source of clinical intelligence is huge, because that is what it can really provide for us above and beyond some of the historic ways that we've used it.